Listen like an angel.
Listen like an angel.
Watch like an angel.
Watch like an angel.
But
But
I got
I got
wise.
wise.
He's the devil
He's
in disguise.
in disguise. Oh, that was everything to me. That was a lot. Hi, welcome to Steph and Anja's Media Review, where we review literally anything. Movies, we've done a couple of TV shows,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of visual media on this podcast. But
Yeah.
that's all right. It's great. We love it. You guys seem to like it.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep doing it.
You keep requesting it.
So true.
So.
Speaking of, today is a fan request.
Yes.
I know it's been a long time coming. This was a request off the back of our Supernatural episode.
Mm-hmm.
We are covering Lucifer 2016.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much to say.
Yeah. Before we kind of get into the context, as we usually do, Anja, did you have a lot of experience with this show before, or was this kind of your first time knowing anything about it?
Okay, so I first found out about the show when I was scrolling on Netflix sometime probably in COVID. Off the back of Teen Wolf probably because I love Teen Wolf and I was looking for another like supernatural-esque show and I stumbled on Lucifer and I remember I watched about 10 minutes of the pilot and shut it off and never returned.
Oh, good start. A good start.
Yeah, great start. And then my mum in the last probably year, 2 years, has started like getting into more TV shows and she fell in love with Lucifer, the show.
Damn,
And
okay.
now I'm here. Where
Yeah.
reviewing a show I left 10 minutes into the pilot of.
But you know what? I feel like that's kind of a good thing because, I mean, we can't love everything that we review, right? Sometimes we have to do things that we don't necessarily think are great.
It gives an honest
yes.
like reaction, I guess, review.
I was going to say refer to our second episode ever recorded where Anja downright hated Mamma Mia.
That's not true. I liked the stage version. But you can check that out on our Spotify in the description, that episode, because we only just started posting on YouTube. But yeah, I didn't like the movie version, and I only like the play version that I saw of a high school play.
That is too funny. Anyway, if you're keen to hear those thoughts, they're on Spotify. If you're here to kind of know how we feel about Lucifer, keep listening, keep watching.
Yes.
For me, I have no experience with this show. I do feel that it probably didn't come out at the right time for me because I'd already been burnt by the show that is Supernatural. And I feel that this is a very similar concept in that it deals a lot with demons, God, the devil. And I was not willing to put myself through that, to be honest. Having said that, in reading and doing a bit more research on it, I feel that I may be converted shortly. I will keep you posted. But yeah, up until really this request came in, I didn't really even know what it was about, to be honest.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, what is Lucifer? A TV show.
That's a good question.
It's a TV show.
I was gonna say it's actually the devil. In case you weren't aware.
No way. No, but there's a lot about where am I going? Lucifer. It started in 2016. Its last release of the season, 2021. But I'm sure we'll dive into the interesting facts about release. But I guess we should give a little summary of Lucifer.
Yes.
Now, I have a little season 1 synopsis.
Okay, yeah.
Lucifer Morningstar, which I think that's an interesting last name. Or how did he come up with his last name? Maybe it's answered in the show. I wouldn't know.
I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you. But the former Lord of HE double hockey sticks. That is a little game theory, a little nugget reference. Sorry.
Yeah.
Has decided to vacation in LA, along with his right hand demon Mazikeen. Maybe that's how it's pronounced.
I think they just go by Maz.
Okay,
that's what it
makes
sounds
more
like
sense.
when I was reading a bit further.
Using his nightclub Lux, Lucifer parties and indulges in every pleasure imaginable. However, the death of an old acquaintance puts Lucifer on the path of vengeance and in the path of Detective Chloe Decker. Lucifer decides to use the LAPD as an outlet to continue to punish sinners. At the same, Lucifer's brother, the angel Amendiel, maybe pronounced like that, is trying to get Lucifer to go back to HE double hockey sticks.
So true. I do just have a quick little correction. Lucifer Morningstar, like that's what they call him in the Bible. He is the morning star. Just out of interest. But I think because this is I guess for some background, it's a character that was in Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, which ironically they also made a TV show about that series. But this focuses entirely on him, where The Sandman focuses on a lot of other characters. And yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good summary of the show as a whole, not just season 1. You know, the whole, I guess, my understanding of the plot is that Lucifer and Chloe assumably go from like a bit of a rivalry to something much closer.
Probably
they have a stronger relationship.
I wouldn't know, that's my guess.
But yeah, it's not just like, you know, your typical crime kind of police drama. They're dealing with supernatural encounters and solving crimes. So I do fear that sounds right up my alley. Unfortunately. I will be partaking.
I was going to say, why is Lucifer British?
Because British people are evil. Sorry, that was so nasty.
I wasn't ready for that answer.
You know, it's probably the accent. Let's be real. It's
charming.
It's just very appealing for the American audiences where this first aired.
Well, Tom Ellis is the lead who plays Lucifer, and Lauren German plays Chloe. And to be honest, I didn't know who either of those actors were. I feel bad.
I knew them from the show.
But yes.
But yeah. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say I have a few little facts. Lucifer got an 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb and an 87 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Interesting. And I would think, my guess is that that's a mix of the whole show. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because first season. That's why you stopped watching. The first season did not do very well. It had very mixed.
The pilot.
I mean, a pilot's a pilot, to be fair. But yeah, the first season got about 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, with an average rating of 5.4 out of 10. Where the second season, and granted, the second season, the data brain is coming out right now because basically season 1 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes were based on 43 reviews. And while the following seasons were rated much higher, they had a significantly lower volume of reviews. So just something to keep in mind when you're looking at like stats like, it got like 87%. There's not a lot of reviews for the following seasons, which
that's true.
I'm curious as to why. I'm like, maybe season 1 just didn't do it for people, and like some people just, like, general audiences maybe stopped watching.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, they cancelled it after 3 seasons and then Netflix brought it back. So, yeah, something to just think about. But yeah, I find that quite interesting, because obviously it sounds like the show only improves as it goes, where sometimes it's like kind of the opposite, where season 1 is like incredible and it only goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one seems to be quite good.
Well, we should talk about that cancellation.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
The show started in 2016 with Fox.
Mhm.
Went for 3 seasons. Fox was like, "You're done.
You're done.
You're done." And then pandemonium on social media. Everyone was like,
Save Lucifer.
"Yeah, hashtag save Lucifer. We have to save the show."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Netflix were like, "We got you, fam."
Besties, we got you.
Yeah.
We're bringing him back.
And Belle.
Yeah, the fact that it trended on Twitter for a while, and then also the second hashtag, hashtag pick up Lucifer, also trended on Twitter. There was a petition that was circulating, and I guess following this fan outcry, Warner Brothers Television kind of shopped the series around to both cable, which is like obviously kind of like free to air or paid free TV, whatever, as well as streaming services, and that's obviously how Netflix kind of got there.
Yeah. Fun little fact about petitions, right? So not only was there a petition to save Lucifer, but there was a petition to stop Lucifer airing before the pilot episode even aired.
Yes, the censorship campaign.
Yes, from the group 1 Million Mums, they got 11,000 signatures to stop Lucifer from being released because they didn't want to humanize the devil and glamorize him.
Oh, but apparently by the time the series premiered as well, it got 134,000 signatures.
Really?
When it went. Yeah.
Damn.
Which is crazy because, like, I guess if you think about the US landscape and kind of like, obviously as Australians, we don't have that experience firsthand, but based on what I've heard, like, it doesn't surprise me that much that it was able to garner kind of so much traction. Like this quote that's like, the series glorifies Satan as a caring, likable person in human flesh. I'm like, based on what I've seen, you're not meant to like think he's a fantastic being. Like, he's kind of, from what I've heard, he's kind of a dick. Like,
that's what he seemed like.
I don't know about that one. I also like this thing where Neil Gaiman, who, as I mentioned earlier, he actually created the character, at least in this kind of this specific characterization of Lucifer. And he commented on the situation on his Tumblr, which I'm like, oh, back in the day.
2016 though, Tumblr.
Yeah, I know. He was on there for a while. I bet he's still on Tumblr.com. I will investigate. I'll get back to you. I have a list of things that I need to look at. But he did say, this is what he said. It seems like only yesterday, but it was 1991, that the Concerned Mothers of America announced that they were boycotting The Sandman because it contained lesbian, gay, and bisexual and trans characters. It was Wanda, who's, I assume, one of the characters, that upset them the most. The idea of a trans woman in a comic book. They told us they were organising a boycott of The Sandman, which they would only stop if we wrote to the American Family Association and promised to reform. I wonder if they noticed it didn't work last time either. So obviously this is like, they're repeat offenders. Which I think, like, I feel like is a perfect encapsulation of some of the stuff that happens in the US, to be perfectly honest. now more than ever, to be honest.
Yep. Exactly.
But you know what? Despite this, Fox did renew Lucifer for a second season following
And the third.
Yes, yeah. And then they pulled the plug. But it's fine. We got there.
I have some light-hearted fun facts. So, there is singing in Lucifer, which I did not know. But Tom Ellis actually does his own singing in the show. However, when in the scenes when Lucifer's playing the piano, he's airplaying it. He cannot play the piano. But as of more recently, he has posted Twitter videos of him playing piano. So, like, while he's airplaying in the show, he actually has learnt how to play the piano after the show.
Oh my god, that's everything to me. I love, sorry, this is such a tangent, but I love an actor that, like, goes out of their way to, like, learn how to do something or a role. I'm like, I feel like that is such dedication. I know it was after the episode went to air, but I'm like, I'm obsessed with that.
We appreciate
it. Learning a new skill is hard.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, in almost all episodes, the name of the episode is said by Lucifer.
Damn.
I think that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I don't know how to respond to that, but that's awesome.
Alright. Tom Ellis's father, uncle, and sister are all religious pastors.
Oh, I would love to know what they thought of the show. I want to be a fly on the wall.
Apparently, according to that one article I read, that they support his acting career. So,
okay, you know what? Good for them. Good for them, and good for him.
Yeah. Okay. The word HE double hockey sticks is said at least once an episode, which I guess that makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense, but I'm like, that seems like a lot of times to say hell. Like,
it is.
Yeah, I guess when you're describing Lucifer, though, it's unavoidable. So
exactly. All right, here's a fun one. So, Supernatural, the show, predicted Lucifer's arrival, and I can already tell by your face, Steph, that you read this one already.
Yeah.
Alright, so season 11, episode 10, Lucifer joked that if he ever got out of his cage in hell, he'd move to LA to solve crimes.
In saying that, okay, I did read that, and I had to think about it.
Yeah.
In saying that, The Sandman was published in 1991. And I think they may have been referencing that. It didn't come out of nowhere. But I do love the idea that some execs just heard Lucifer in Supernatural say that line and think, oh, that's actually like a good show concept.
Yeah.
That sounds phenomenal. Let's make it.
I love it.
Like, I know realistically that's not how it happened, but I would like it to have happened that way.
There are no Christmas episodes.
You know what? That's probably for the best. Yeah. That's probably a good shout.
Good to stay clear of that.
Yeah.
And my last little fun fact, Lucifer never smokes on the show.
You know what? That's so good. I'm glad that some things are just so heinous, even Lucifer wouldn't do it.
I think maybe they imply, like, in the pilot he had a lighter, but he doesn't actually smoke on the show.
Yeah, so, yeah. That's, okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Those are my fun facts.
I love it. I love a good fun fact. I don't, but I was just going to kind of elaborate on, and I know that we've both looked at this, the Shorty Awards piece, but kind of a bit more on, I guess, post-Fox cancellation, kind of Netflix picking it up, because there was also another part of this where obviously Netflix in picking up the series, they kind of want to, I guess the goal is to improve the reputation of the show. You know, obviously something gets cancelled, general audiences tend to think, oh, maybe something's off with it. I mean, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now, right? So if a show got cancelled, it must have meant it was pretty bad. It didn't rate very highly. The network didn't see a future for it. So when Netflix picked it up, they were basically talking about how can we make it bigger? How do we give the fans what they want, essentially? Because it's the fans who are ultimately kind of the biggest defenders of the show, which caused it to get picked up. So they did a bit of research. They went undercover, and basically looked into Twitter and Reddit to kind of look at what people were talking about, what were the top conversation themes, and I guess like what were people most interested in about Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way that this like little article or research report frames it. One topic rose above them all: Tom Ellis's butt. Yes, you did hear that correctly, audiences.
His butt.
Yeah, the sexualization of actors, it never ends. It never stops. Ever. Which is like endlessly fascinating to me because I'm like, that is wild.
Yeah.
So basically, sorry, my thing is glitching out. I love that.
Okay. So
do you happen to have it open?
The
Or have the notes?
appeal, the campaign, the name, as we now know how it came about, what they chose to focus on, was called the Thirst Trap campaign.
Yes. So true.
So what did they do? They posted videos and photos, including Tom Ellis's butt, to thirst trap the audience. They gained 1.8 million new worshippers. They saw a 72% increase across social media, with 7.5 million engagements, 388 million impressions, and 44 million video views, with a season 5 renewal.
Period.
So that was really cool. And then additional to the thirst trap videos and all that, they would do photos with Tom Ellis eating an apple, which is apparently some obscure reference to the show. They also did a reunion special with like the actors, bringing them all together to hype the team up. So the fans, yeah.
I really like that they kind of went out of their way to, I guess, acknowledge the fans, because as I kind of said before, like, it is ultimately the pushing from the fans that got Warner Brothers to shop it around, which I think is really cool. I think, personally, I wish it happened more often, that, like, studios and networks listened to people who were like, please don't cancel this show. It's really good and it means a lot to me. Especially like and this is something like we've talked about in great detail at this point. Just like the nature of streaming doesn't necessarily permit that. So it's really interesting to me that Netflix is the one to pick it up when you look at what's been happening with Netflix a lot recently, and they're just like cancelling shows left, right, and centre. It's an interesting plot twist, I think.
It is. And also, like, moving to a streaming service changed the landscape of the episode structure as well for the show. They went from 22 episodes to 10 episodes per season.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, you see that a lot with, like, basically shows. I mean, I think for me, something that comes to mind is, and this is on the brain, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where it was initially made for TV, and then the final season aired on Disney+. And obviously, like, that's a very different show to Lucifer, but it's the same principle, where I don't think there's a lot of overlap between people who work on like free-to-air or just TV networks in general and people who are working in streaming services. I think they're two very different structures and probably like sectors. And so like they probably have different considerations in mind when they're putting shows together or going to directors and showrunners and saying, this is how many episodes you have. I think it's a stupid thing to do, having only like 8 episodes to tell a story. At that point, just make a movie in my mind. But I think it's interesting. Like, Lucifer is an interesting case study in it kind of working for them. But yeah, I think also at the time, like, obviously tail end of COVID is when like the last season came out. So people were still inside, people were still really using streaming services, and I think that, in my mind, probably helped it quite a lot.
Definitely gave it a push.
Because I remember seeing it all over Netflix, like, when it was, like, 2020, 2021. It was like, I didn't watch it, but I saw it. I was aware of it.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's all that matters sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's the main marketing we have.
Yeah. I actually found kind of the creative brief for the logo.
Ooh.
If you're interested in hearing about that.
Definitely.
It's from I found it on a website called Behance, from this guy called Will Corpus, I think. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But basically, it looks like he worked on the development of the logo because, yeah, as I said, it stemmed from basically a comic book. And obviously, comic books and TV shows are very different mediums. They kind of attract very different crowds. So it's important to have a distinction in brand, is my thinking. So he was tasked to create a modern, sleek, yet sophisticated logo that would work for broadcast television and print as well. So obviously you want something to be super, super recognizable when you're dealing with both traditional and digital media. They ended up using it. It went through a few stages, but ultimately they did land on obviously the one that they used. But I'm happy to share some pictures on our socials if anyone's interested to see what that looked like. Otherwise, I can just, if you just search Lucifer logo creative brief, I'm sure you will find it.
It will come up.
Yeah. But then obviously Netflix continued to use the original graphics that he designed.
Smart.
Obviously keeping with brand recognition. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool, actually. But yeah, I think that wraps us up for the marketing. Like I was saying before, they used their social media. They had Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube ads, trailers. That's about it.
Yeah. And just general, like, organic social. I mean, we've harped on a lot about it, but cannot stress the importance of building hype and building excitement and having a dedicated fan base, because that made all the difference for this show.
Yup. So.
But yeah, I was going to say, final thoughts on Lucifer before we head into our final segment?
I don't think it's the show for me. Watch it if you seem interested, but yeah, from the pilot, I don't think I'm gonna continue watching it. But
fair enough.
Really interesting social campaign, though. Really interesting marketing side. So that was really cool to find, like, research and read about. But yeah, I don't think it's my kind of show.
Fair enough. Yeah, I am 50-50 if it's a show for me, because it does seem really interesting, but there's also a lot of things that I have to watch. But yes, I think I didn't know anything about the cancellation and then, like, subsequent being picked up by Netflix. I saw it on Netflix one day and thought, oh, I'll get around to it one day. And then I didn't. So, but no, it seems really interesting, and I will probably give it a watch at some point.
Yeah.
Or another.
But that leads us to our favourite segment. I'm sure everyone who has seen our videos or listened to our podcast before knows what's coming up. It's time for Fan Fiction! Steph, would you like to introduce?
Yes, I was going to say, this is the segment where we bring a good fanfic to the table, depending on whether or not there are such things that exist for the topic that we're covering. And we basically summarize it, chat through the concept, things that we liked, whether we think it's in character, just generally a good time. So I've brought one to the table today that is called Coloured Crimson in My Eyes by Deerstalker Death Frisbee. I love that author name, by the way. That's everything to me.
It's a great name.
This is a crossover between, obviously, Lucifer and the Daredevil TV show. And I'm sure you're wondering, what is the overlap? Well, you know how Matt Murdock dresses up as the devil, as Daredevil?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's in the name, to be frank about it. No, this is kind of a crack fic, but it's kind of treated seriously. That's basically like the author realised that they have a lot of similar mannerisms, Lucifer and Matt Murdock. And it's basically like Lucifer raised Matt Murdock for a time, but haven't seen each other in a while. And the summary is as follows. And these are all quotes. I thought you were raised by nuns. I was raised by none. And the devil, your grandfather. Yes, but we don't use that word. It makes me feel old. Lucifer, your input was not requested or required. Well then, someone's being a bit rude. And those are the quotes. When Grandma Murdoch said the Murdoch boys had devil in their blood, she was being literal. Chloe has a conference in New York City and Lucifer decides to drop in on his favourite relative. So yes, this is a Lucifer is Matt Murdock's grandfather fic. And you know what? It's long for like a one chapter fic. It's 5.6 thousand words. Published back in 2016. And it kind of does I know, I was like, whoa. It has almost 10,000 kudos, 2,000 bookmarks, and 70,000 hits. Those are the kind of things that we're working with.
Wow.
And the fic itself, it kind of swaps back and forth between then and now. So obviously Matt Murdock as a child and kind of growing up under Lucifer, and then them reuniting when Matt Murdock is an adult. They go and get drunk. Lucifer's nightclub, presumably. And it's just having a good time. I think if you really loved these characters, I mean, you would be thrilled by this crossover. Yeah. I think it's really quite fun. It's quintessential, like, crossover material where, like, all the characters meet and they get on like a house on fire, so to speak. There's a little bit of angst as well. Like, it's not just pure fluff, which I think is always a good thing. But it ultimately ends, like, quite happily. You know, Matt and Lucifer are sound asleep and, you know, having passed out together. And it's just overall a good time, I think. So,
I rate it.
Yeah. If you like these characters, give it a shot.
It's the fic for you.
Yeah.
But I guess that wraps us up for this week. Yeah. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hi. Thanks for making it to the end. It's our second video. We're very excited. And if you're on Spotify, thank you again for listening. And I think the video posts on Spotify as well, so you also watch us if you want.
So true. So please.
That's cool. So if you guys could like, subscribe, comment, or follow, Q&A, rate, that would be really cool. We'd appreciate the support. This was, again, a request this week. So, yay. And if
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And if you want us to review anything that you like, then leave us a comment or leave us a Q&A. We'll see it. We'll add it to our little list of requests.
So true.
And we will get it done.
Eventually, but we will get there.
We will get there. We also have a TikTok and an Instagram where we occasionally post. Sometimes.
Yep. Ooh.
Look.
Listen, we're trying. We're just busy.
Yeah, we do add to our Instagram stories, so you'll
Yes.
always get the link for when we post.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're not so good on the content side, but it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You get so much content of us when you listen to the podcast. So I think that almost makes up for it.
Exactly. But yeah.
Yeah, if nothing else, outro.